On April 3rd, 2026, the impossible happened. Iran shot down not one, but two advanced American combat aircraft in a single day. A powerful F-15E strike, Eagle, the backbone of U.S. air superiority, was blasted out of the sky deep over Iranian territory. Moments later, an A-10 Thunderbolt II Warthog, the legendary tank killer, was also struck and crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. For the F-15E's two-man crew, it was a nightmare. One pilot was rescued in a daring operation. The second crew member remains missing somewhere in the rugged mountains and hostile terrain of Iran. Right now, as you watch this, American special forces and elite pararescue teams are in a desperate race against time. They have only a narrow window, reportedly less than 24 hours, to locate and extract the missing airman before Iranian forces and armed local tribesmen find him first. Iranian state media has already released images of the wreckage, twisted metal, a shattered vertical stabilizer with U.S. Air Force markings, and pieces clearly belonging to the F-15E. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims their modernized air defense systems using new tactics and indigenous innovations brought down these symbols of American power. This is not just another claim. This is the first time in this conflict that Iran has successfully downed a manned U.S. fighter jet over its own airspace. For decades, the U.S. Air Force has operated with near total dominance in the skies. Today, that dominance is being challenged directly, violently, and in real time. The downed F-15E was no ordinary aircraft. It carries advanced AESA radar conformal fuel tanks for extended range and can haul over 10 tons of precision weapons. Yet it fell. The A-10, built to survive heavy ground fire, was also hit, while likely supporting rescue efforts. Now the clock is ticking. U.S. helicopters, tanker, aircraft, and combat escorts are pushing deep into contested airspace. Every minute counts. If the missing crew member is captured, it would be a massive propaganda victory for Tehran. If rescued, it proves once again America's unbreakable commitment, no one left behind. But this incident raises far bigger questions. How did Iran, after weeks of intense American and Israeli strikes, still manage to adapt and strike back so effectively? What new tactics and systems allowed them to penetrate the defenses of one of the world's most advanced fighters? And most critically, what does this mean for American air power and the future of this escalating war? In the next few minutes, we break down exactly what happened on that fateful day, how Iran pulled it off, the high-stakes rescue operation unfolding right now, and what this shocking event reveals about the shifting balance of power in modern warfare. Stay with me. This is developing fast, and the next 24 hours could change everything. Now, in this video, we answer the biggest questions everyone is asking right now. How did Iran manage to shoot down a modern F-15E Strike Eagle, one of America's most advanced fighter jets, even after weeks of relentless U.S. and Israeli airstrikes? What new tactics and innovations in Iran's air defense systems allowed them to succeed where everyone thought it was impossible? Why is the United States now racing against a critical 24-hour clock to rescue the missing crew member deep inside hostile Iranian territory? And what does this shocking double incident, the downing of both an F-15E and an A-10 Thunderbolt II, reveal about the real limits of American air power in this escalating war? We will break it all down, the exact timeline of the shootdowns and the dramatic search and rescue mission unfolding as we speak, the technology and weapons behind Iran's surprising success, America's urgent response, including elite pararescue teams pushing into danger, the deeper geopolitical consequences that could reshape the balance of power in the Middle East and beyond. This is not just another aircraft loss. This is a potential turning point in modern warfare. On the 3rd of April, 2026, The war between the United States and Iran entered a dangerous new phase. For the first time since the conflict began, Iran successfully shot down a manned U.S. combat aircraft over its own territory. The victim was an F-15E Strike Eagle, a twin-seat, all-weather fighter bomber that serves as one of the most capable platforms in the U.S. Air Force inventory. According to U.S. officials and multiple media reports, the F-15E was brought down in southwestern Iran, likely in the rugged mountainous terrain of Khuzestan or nearby provinces. Both crew members, the pilot and the weapons systems officer, ejected from the aircraft under extreme conditions. One crew member was rescued relatively quickly by U.S. Special Operations Forces in a high-risk operation. However, as of April 4 and into April 5, the second airman remains missing. American forces are conducting an intensive search and rescue mission deep inside hostile territory, while Iranian forces and armed local tribesmen are actively hunting for the same individual. Almost simultaneously, a second U.S. aircraft, an A-10, Thunderbolt II, famously known as the Warthog, was struck and crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. The lone pilot of the A-10 managed to eject safely and was rescued. U.S. officials have not provided full details on whether the A-10 was hit by Iranian fire while supporting the F-15E rescue effort or during a separate close air support mission. Iranian state media, including outlets linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, quickly claimed victory. They released photos and videos of what they say is wreckage from the F-15E, a damaged vertical stabilizer bearing U.S. Air Force markings, pieces of the tail section with electronic warfare equipment, and even what appears to be an ejection seat. Although Iran initially claimed the downed aircraft was a stealthy F-35, independent analysis by aviation experts, including those at the Aviationist, confirmed the debris clearly belongs to an F-15E Strike Eagle from a squadron based in Europe and forward deployed for operations against Iran. Major General Ali Reza El-Hami, commander of Iran's integrated air defense base, stated that the successful shootdown resulted from changing tactics and innovations in Iran's air defense systems. He said these adaptations have created confusion and panic for American forces. Tehran has also mobilized local populations in the crash area, offering rewards to anyone who helps locate or capture the missing American airmen. Reports indicate nomadic tribes and villagers have taken up personal weapons and begun patrolling mountainous and plain regions. This incident marks a significant psychological and tactical milestone, despite more than 1,000 U.S. and Israeli strikes over the past month that heavily degraded Iran's integrated air defense network. Tehran has demonstrated the ability to adapt, survive, and still deliver lethal blows against high-value manned platforms. The downing of the F-15E is not just the loss of an expensive aircraft. It is the first confirmed combat loss of a U.S. manned fighter jet to enemy action in this war. It forces Washington to divert critical resources into a dangerous rescue operation while the broader air campaign continues. The race is now on. With every passing hour, the window for a successful extraction narrows. Iranian forces know the area well. Local civilians have been galvanized. And the missing airman is trained in survival, evasion, resistance, and escape, but he is alone on the ground in enemy territory. This single event has transformed the conflict from a one-sided campaign of attrition into a tense, real-time contest of wits, technology, and raw determination. In the next sections, we will examine exactly how Iran achieved this, the technology and tactics involved, and what America's urgent response reveals about the limits of even the world's most powerful air force. To understand how Iran pulled off this shocking double shootdown, we must examine the weapons and technology on both sides and why even America's most advanced platforms proved vulnerable. Let's start with the F-15E Strike Eagle, one of the most capable non-stealth fighters in the U.S. inventory. This twin-seat multi-role aircraft is a true workhorse. Powered by two F-100 turbofan engines, it can reach speeds of Mach 2.5 over 1650 miles per hour. Its combat range extends to roughly 2,400 miles with conformal fuel tanks mounted along the fuselage, giving it exceptional reach without sacrificing maneuverability. At its heart is the AN APG A2V1 Active Electronically Scanned Array AESA radar. This advanced system allows the crew to simultaneously map terrain for ground strikes, track multiple aerial targets, and resist jamming. The weapons systems officer in the rear cockpit manages radar electronic countermeasures and target designation, while the pilot focuses on flying and air combat. The F-15E's payload is formidable, up to 10.4 tons of ordnance across more than 25 hardpoints. It can carry AIM, 120 AMRAAM, air-to-air missiles, precision-guided bombs like the GBU, 3-1 anti-ship missiles, and even nuclear options in certain configurations. An internal 20 millimeters cannon with 500 rounds provides close-in firepower. Yet despite these strengths, the F-15E has clear vulnerabilities in a modern contested environment. Its radar cross-section is relatively large, estimated at around 10 square meters, making it far easier to detect than stealth platforms like the F-35. Its powerful engines produce a significant infrared signature, especially when operating at lower altitudes or during high-thrust maneuvers. When the aircraft descends to deliver strikes or provide close air support, it enters the lethal envelope of shorter-range systems. The A-10 Thunderbolt II, the other aircraft hit that day, faces even greater risks at low altitude. Nicknamed the Warthog, it is heavily armored and built around a devastating 30 millimeters GAU-8 Avenger cannon. However, its slower speed and large infrared signature make it highly vulnerable to man-portable air defense systems, MANPADS, when flying low to support ground operations or rescue missions. Now turn to Iran's side. After more than a month of intense U.S. and Israeli strikes exceeding 11,000 sorties and attacks many of Iran's high-end integrated air defense systems, IADs were heavily degraded. Long-range systems like the Russian S-300 and indigenous Bavar 373 were priority targets and largely suppressed early in the campaign. But Iran adapted rapidly. Instead of relying solely on big fixed radars that are easy to locate and destroy, Tehran shifted to a more distributed, multi-layered approach. Mobile and short-range systems survived in greater numbers. Medium-range platforms such as the Khordad 3 and Rod family, along with vehicle-mounted Tor, M1, and Pantsir derivatives, continue to operate by frequently relocating and using passive detection methods. A key innovation appears to be the increased use of passive infrared detection systems. Unlike traditional radar that emits signals and can be jammed or targeted, passive IR sensors simply listen for heat signatures from aircraft engines and exhaust plumes. This method leaves no electronic emission for U.S. electronic warfare suites to detect. Reports suggest such systems may have played a role in locking onto the F-15E strong infrared signature. MANPADS, shoulder-fired missiles like Iranian copies of the Igla or more advanced variants proved especially dangerous. Dispersed among IRGC units and even mobilized civilians, these cheap portable weapons excel against non-stealth aircraft operating at lower altitudes. The A-10's low and slow profile made it a natural target for these systems during rescue support missions. Iran also demonstrated remarkable resilience in its broader missile infrastructure. U.S. intelligence reports, including those cited by the New York Times revealed that Iranian forces can restore underground missile bunkers and launch shafts to operational status within just a few hours after being struck. They used decoys, dispersed mobile launchers, hidden in caves and mountainous terrain, and rapid repair teams to maintain launch capability despite massive bombardment. This combination, layered defenses, passive sensors, mobile short-range systems, and rapid recovery, created a cat and mouse environment. The F-15E, while powerful, lacks the low observable stealth of fifth-generation fighters. When forced into lower altitudes or dense threat zones, its advantages in speed and radar were partially neutralized by Iran's adaptive tactics. Major General Alireza Elhami highlighted exactly this. New tactics and indigenous innovations caused confusion and panic for American pilots and planners. Iran did not need to match U.S. technology one for one. Instead, it leveraged asymmetric advantages, geographic familiarity with its vast, rugged terrain, decentralized command, and a willingness to accept attrition in exchange for occasional high-value kills. The result, a non-stealth, fourth-generation fighter and a low-altitude ground attack aircraft were both hit on the same day. This does not mean Iran controls the skies. U.S. air operations continue with heavy suppression of enemy air defenses, SEAD missions, but it does expose the limits of technology alone in modern warfare. Advanced radar and precision weapons matter, yet so do heat signatures, altitude, electronic emissions, and the ability to adapt faster than your opponent. In the next section, we will examine how the United States is responding to this challenge, the desperate race to rescue the missing pilot, and the broader geopolitical implications of a superpower being forced into a high-risk extraction deep inside enemy territory. While Iran celebrated what it called a major tactical victory, the United States immediately launched one of the most dangerous and complex operations in modern military history, a high-risk combat search and rescue, or CSAR mission, deep inside enemy territory. As soon as the F-15E Strike Eagle went down on the 3rd of April, 2026, U.S. forces activated protocols refined over decades of conflict. Elite pararescue jumpers, known as PJs from the U.S., Air Force Special Operations Command, were already on alert. Their motto, "that others may live," defines everything they do. The rescue package typically includes HH-60W Jolly Green II helicopters, the Air Force's dedicated Combat Rescue Black Hawk, supported by HC-130J Combat King II tankers for extended range. A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft often provide close air support, flying low to suppress enemy ground fire. Electronic warfare planes jam Iranian radars and communications while reconnaissance drones scan the rugged terrain. In this case, the operation turned chaotic almost immediately. According to multiple U.S. officials, 2 Black Hawk helicopters involved in the search were hit by Iranian fire, but managed to return to base with injured crew members. The A-10 Warthog that was struck and crashed near the Strait of Hormuz was reportedly supporting the rescue effort when it came under attack. Its pilot ejected safely over the Gulf and was recovered. One of the 2 F-15E crew members was rescued within hours in a daring special operations extraction. However, as of April 5, the second airman remains missing. U.S. forces are racing against a rapidly closing window, reportedly less than 24 hours of prime golden time, before the risk of capture or worse becomes critical. The missing crew member is highly trained in survival, evasion, resistance, and escape SARI, equipped with a survival kit, radio beacon, and GPS. But he is alone in hostile mountainous terrain, while Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces and armed local tribesmen, motivated by rewards from Tehran, are actively hunting him. This rescue effort reveals both the extraordinary capability and the stark limitations of American power. The United States can project force globally, maintain air superiority in most scenarios, and execute complex night operations with precision. Yet here it is, forced to send elite personnel deep into Iranian territory, a country with vast geography, difficult mountains, and a population mobilized against them. Every helicopter flight risks further losses. Every minute on the ground increases the chance of a deadly ambush. Geopolitically, this incident is a serious blow to U.S. prestige. For weeks, Washington and its allies conducted over 11,000 strikes aimed at degrading Iran's military capabilities. Officials claim significant success in destroying launchers, production facilities, and air defenses. Yet Iran still managed to down a modern F-15E and damage an A-10. This demonstrates that even heavy bombardment cannot fully eliminate a determined adversary's ability to adapt and strike back asymmetrically. In Washington, the mood is tense. President Trump has been briefed and has publicly signaled that time is running out for diplomatic off-ramps, warning of further escalation if no deal is reached. The Pentagon has not detailed exact next steps, but options on the table likely include intensified airstrikes, deployment of additional naval assets in the Persian Gulf, and possibly expanded special operations raids. The broader geopolitical picture is shifting. This event exposes the fragility of America's assumed air dominance in contested regions. Allies in the region, Israel, Gulf states, and others are watching closely. If the U.S. struggles to protect its pilots or extract personnel quickly, it raises questions about reliability in a future high-intensity conflict against peer adversaries like China in the Taiwan Strait or Russia in Eastern Europe. For Iran, a successful capture of the missing airman would be an enormous propaganda win, far more valuable than the aircraft itself. It would rally domestic support and project strength to proxies across the Middle East. Even without capture, Tehran has already used the incident to claim that American technological superiority is not invincible. The stakes extend far beyond the immediate rescue. The Strait of Hormuz remains a global choke point for oil shipments. Any further escalation risks disrupting energy markets, spiking prices, and sending shockwaves through the world economy. Meanwhile, Russia and China are observing with interest. Both nations have invested heavily in anti-access area denial, A-2, A-D strategies designed to challenge U.S. power projection. Iran's partial success offers them valuable real-world data on how to counter American air power without matching it symmetrically. This single day, the 3rd of April 2026, has transformed the conflict from a campaign of attrition into something more unpredictable and personal. The United States, long accustomed to fighting from a position of overwhelming technological advantage, now finds itself in a raw contest of wills where geography, local knowledge, and sheer determination can offset superior hardware. The next few hours will be decisive. If the missing airman is safely extracted, America will demonstrate once again its refusal to leave anyone behind. If not, the political and psychological cost will be high, potentially forcing a stronger military response and further escalation. In the next section, we will explore the human and ideological dimension, the role of national will, self-reliance, and fighting spirit that may ultimately prove more important than any single weapon system. Beyond radars, missiles, and fighter jets, every war is ultimately decided by the human element, willpower, resilience, and the willingness to fight for something greater than technology. In the rugged mountains of southwestern Iran on April 3 and 4, 2026, this truth became painfully clear. While the United States mobilized its most advanced rescue, helicopters, tanker aircraft, and elite special forces, Iran responded with something simpler yet extremely effective, the collective will of its people. Iranian state media reported that thousands of local residents, especially nomadic tribes and villagers in Kogaluya and Boyar Ahmad province, took up their personal weapons and fanned out across mountains and plains to search for the missing American airmen. These were not professional soldiers. Many were ordinary farmers, shepherds, and tribesmen. Yet they answered the call from Tehran with genuine enthusiasm, driven by a deep sense of national pride and the belief that they were defending their homeland sovereignty. Rewards were offered, but the real motivation appeared to come from within a collective determination that no foreign invader will walk freely on Iranian soil. This grassroots mobilization reveals a crucial aspect of Iran's strength, that pure military analysis often underestimates the power of national cohesion and ideological commitment. For decades, Iran has framed its struggle as resistance against foreign domination. Whether one agrees with the Iranian regime or not, this narrative has created a reservoir of popular resilience that allows the country to absorb heavy blows and keep fighting. Compare this to the American side. The missing F-15E crew member is not just any pilot. He is a highly trained professional who has undergone one of the most rigorous survival programs in the world: survival, evasion, resistance, and escape SEER. American aircrew are taught to evade capture, live off the land, and resist interrogation if taken prisoner. Their equipment includes encrypted radios, GPS beacons, and survival kits designed for exactly this nightmare scenario. Yet even the best training cannot fully overcome being alone, injured, and hunted in unfamiliar, hostile terrain while facing a mobilized local population. The American philosophy of no one left behind is noble and deeply ingrained in U.S. military culture. It drives extraordinary risks to save a single life. But in this environment, that commitment translates into extremely dangerous missions for rescue teams who must fly deep into Iranian airspace, knowing that every flight risks creating more casualties. This creates a fascinating contrast in fighting spirit. On one side is the American technological warrior relying on superior equipment, elite training, and overwhelming firepower. On the other is the Iranian people's defender, relying on numbers, local knowledge of the land, ideological motivation, and sheer determination. History shows that willpower can sometimes trump technology. In Vietnam, Afghanistan, and other asymmetric conflicts determined, local forces repeatedly bled superpowers despite massive material disadvantages. Iran appears to be drawing from the same playbook, accepting high costs in infrastructure and lives while maintaining the will to resist and strike back when opportunities arise. Major General Ali Reza Al-Hami's statement was not just about new radar systems or tactics. When he spoke of innovations causing confusion and panic for the opponent, he was also signaling a psychological victory. Iran wants the world, and especially the American public, to see that even after thousands of strikes, the Islamic Republic remains defiant and capable for the missing American pilot. The situation is desperate. Every hour that passes increases the psychological pressure. He knows rescue forces are coming, but he also knows Iranian search parties are closing in. His survival depends not only on his training, but on his mental toughness, the ability to stay hidden, move at night, and maintain hope in isolation. Meanwhile, the families of American service members are once again reminded of the human cost of these distant conflicts. That others may live ethos is powerful, but it demands real sacrifice from rescuers who put their own lives on the line for their comrades. This incident also exposes a deeper truth about modern great power competition. The United States possesses the world's most advanced military hardware, but it often fights expeditionary wars far from home with limited domestic mobilization. Iran, though technologically inferior, is fighting on its own soil with a population that largely views the conflict as existential. In such asymmetric matchups, morale and national will become force multipliers. Iran's ability to quickly repair underground missile bunkers, disperse launchers, and mobilize civilians shows a level of societal resilience that is difficult for any external power to break through bombing campaigns alone. Yet this same determination carries risks. Mobilizing civilians into combat zones can lead to tragic collateral damage and blurs the line between combatants and non-combatants. It also raises the stakes dramatically, turning what might have been a limited military exchange into something far more emotionally charged. As the 2-4-hour rescue window narrows, the world is witnessing a raw contest between two different concepts of power: America's high-tech professional expeditionary force versus Iran's decentralized, ideologically driven home territory defense. Technology can win battles, but willpower often decides whether a nation can endure a long war. The coming hours will test both sides' spirit in the most direct way possible. If the missing airman is rescued, it will reaffirm America's commitment to its personnel and its unmatched rescue capabilities. If he is captured, it will hand Iran a powerful symbolic victory that could galvanize its population and embarrass Washington on the global stage. In the final section, we will zoom out to examine how this single dramatic day is reshaping the broader global order, from the future of air power to the accelerating trend toward a multipolar world. As the rescue operation for the missing American airman enters its critical final hours on the 5th of April, 2026, the downing of the F-15E Strike Eagle and the damage to the A-10 Thunderbolt II have already sent ripples far beyond the mountains of southwestern Iran. This is no longer just a regional conflict. The events of April 3 mark a potential turning point in the broader transformation of the global order from unipolar American dominance toward a more contested multipolar world. For more than 3 decades after the Cold War, the United States enjoyed near total supremacy in air power. American fighters operated with relative impunity in most theaters. The successful shoot-down of a modern F-15E over Iranian territory, the first confirmed loss of a manned U.S. combat aircraft to enemy fire in this war, challenges that assumption. It demonstrates that even after weeks of intense bombardment exceeding 11000, strikes a determined adversary using asymmetric tactics, passive sensors, mobile systems, and local mobilization can still inflict painful losses on high-value platforms. This has immediate implications for U.S. strategy. Washington must now weigh the political and psychological cost of continued operations. Losing aircraft and risking elite rescue teams deep in hostile territory raises questions about the sustainability of high-intensity air campaigns against peer or near-peer adversaries. Allies in the Indo-Pacific, particularly those watching a potential future conflict over Taiwan, are taking note. If the U.S. struggles to maintain air dominance against Iran's layered defenses, how much more challenging would a confrontation with China's advanced A2AD network be? The economic dimension is equally alarming. The Strait of Hormuz remains the world's most critical energy choke point, carrying nearly 1/5 of global oil trade. Any escalation that threatens shipping through this narrow waterway, whether through direct attacks, mining, or heightened risk insurance, could send oil prices soaring and trigger inflation worldwide. Markets are already jittery. A prolonged or intensified conflict would ripple through supply chains, energy costs, and global growth at a time when many economies are still recovering from previous shocks. On the geopolitical stage, Russia and China are the biggest beneficiaries of this demonstration of American vulnerability. Both nations have invested heavily in anti-access, area denial capabilities precisely to counter U.S. power projection. Iran's partial success adapting despite heavy losses, restoring underground facilities quickly, and mobilizing civilian support provides real-world validation for their strategies. Moscow and Beijing are likely studying every detail: how passive infrared detection bypassed electronic warfare, how mobile short-range systems survive suppression, and how national will compensate it for technological gaps. For Russia, currently engaged in its own high-intensity conflict in Europe, Iran's resilience offers hope that sustained attrition can wear down superior forces. For China, the lesson is clear: developing robust a 2AD bubbles around Taiwan and the South China Sea could deter or complicate American intervention. Both powers may increase technical and intelligence support to Iran, further complicating U.S. calculations. This incident also accelerates the erosion of the post-World War II order. The idea of American military invincibility, once a cornerstone of global stability and deterrence, is being tested. Smaller nations and non-state actors watching from the sidelines may feel emboldened to challenge U.S. interests with hybrid and asymmetric tools. At the same time, traditional U.S. allies may begin hedging their bets, seeking stronger relationships with rising powers or investing more in their own defense capabilities. Yet it would be premature to declare the end of American power. The United States still possesses unmatched global reach, technological innovation, industrial base, and alliance networks. Its rapid rescue of one F-15E crew member and continued air operations demonstrate remarkable operational tempo and commitment. The no one left behind ethos remains a powerful force multiplier that authoritarian regimes struggle to match. The deeper question is whether Washington can adapt its strategy to this new reality. Prolonged wars of attrition favor the side willing to absorb higher costs over longer periods. Iran has shown it can endure heavy damage while maintaining enough capability to strike back symbolically and tactically. The United States, as a democracy with domestic political pressures, faces different constraints. Looking ahead, several scenarios emerge. A swift diplomatic resolution could de-escalate tensions and stabilize energy markets. Continued escalation risks a wider regional war with global consequences. In either case, the balance of power has shifted subtly but meaningfully. Future conflicts will likely blend high technology precision strikes with resilient distributed defenses and strong societal cohesion. The downing of the F-15E is a reminder that in modern warfare, no single weapon system guarantees victory. Radar, cross-sections, infrared, signatures, and electronic emissions matter, but so do geography, local knowledge, rapid adaptation, and the intangible factor of national will. As rescue teams race against time and world leaders monitor developments, one thing is certain: the 3rd of April, 2026 has entered the history books, not merely as the day 2 American aircraft were hit, but as a day that exposed the limits, technological superiority, and accelerated the transition to a more complex multipolar security environment. The coming weeks will determine whether this incident becomes a footnote in a contained conflict or the spark that reshapes global power dynamics for a generation. The rescue clock continues ticking, the world watches, and the lessons of this day will echo far beyond the skies of Iran. As the critical hours tick down in the high-stakes rescue operation deep inside Iran, one thing has become crystal clear. On the 3rd of April, 2026, the downing of the F-15E Strike Eagle and the strike on the A-10, Thunderbolt II marked more than just the loss of 2 American aircraft. It signaled a sobering reality in modern warfare that technological superiority alone is no longer enough to guarantee dominance. Iran has shown that through rapid adaptation, innovative tactics, resilient infrastructure, and unbreakable national will, even a heavily pressured nation can still deliver painful blows to a superpower. Meanwhile, the United States continues to demonstrate its extraordinary commitment to its personnel with one of the most dangerous combat search and rescue missions in recent memory. This single day has exposed both the limits of air power and the enduring power of human determination. It reminds us that in the 21st century, wars are won not only by the most advanced weapons, but by the side that can adapt faster, endure longer, and fight with greater conviction. The coming hours and days will decide the fate of the missing American airmen and may well shape the next chapter of this dangerous conflict. Whatever the outcome, the balance of power in the Middle East and the broader global order has shifted in subtle but significant ways. What do you think? Will the United States successfully complete this daring rescue within the narrowing window, or will this incident become a lasting symbol of changing realities in modern warfare? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Iran's resistance marks the beginning of a new multipolar era, or can American technological and operational superiority still prevail? We read every comment and discuss the most insightful ones in future videos. If this analysis helped you understand the rapidly evolving situation, please hit the like button right now. It really helps the channel. Share this video with anyone interested in military strategy and geopolitics. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our in-depth breakdowns of modern conflicts. Thank you for watching until the end. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and we'll see you in the next video. That others may live. Modern Warfare.